Has it lived up to your expectations? Did I overpromise or did I, over deliver?
You've met the non-expectations that I've had, and you've definitely surpassed them in what you're offering.
All right, Rosie, it's good to have you here. And just to address the elephant in the room, Rosie, I know you said, you're happy to take this call with me, which I really appreciate, but you didn't want your face on camera, and I told you to get that. And we were just talking about, when you're building something, it's really important to create some success first, really get that going, and then you can put your name out there. And you know what? And I think we were just saying that I'm very much like that. I'm very much introverted. So for the purposes of everyone wondering why we can't see you, it's simply because you want to get to your goal first before you publicly declare anything, right?
Yes, that's very true. Thanks for having me, even though I wouldn't show you who I am.
No, it's cool. I appreciate it. So let's just start from the beginning. I know we haven't actually, personally met, but we've been working together, I believe, for just over 2 months, I'd say. Can we first of all start from the beginning? How did we meet and what made you consider selling on Amazon? And I know you've had some previous experiences with Amazon in the past, so if you want to talk about that as well.
Okay. Well, I had a Seller Central account when I reached out to you. I had a few products up, but they weren't doing very well. Like maybe I made a couple $100. And that's nice and everything. I see that the process works, but it wasn't any real cash flow. So I reached out to you. I responded to one of the call to actions that you had in some of your social media. I reached out to you. I think you got back to me fairly quickly. And then we had a quick Zoom call, I think, again, fairly quickly, and you introduced your program to me. So, what I found appealing about what you were offering is honestly just the chance to make more money, to live my life a different way instead of being in the rat race, instead of having a 9 to 5 job. I'm just looking for different options of how I go about my day to day.
Yeah, sure. So when you came across me, were you actively looking for some kind of mentorship, or was it something that, when you stumbled upon it, you were like, actually, I could do with that?
Yeah, I didn't know that such a thing existed, I guess, before I met you and before I came across your social media, but I was definitely interested. I'm sure if I had looked for it, I could have found a course offering me the same thing. I'd never looked for it, but I'm sure that I could have found like a course where you go through something by yourself. But the fact that you're here with me, you're available all the time, I can give you questions, like that was very appealing because you do call it a mentorship program and it very much is. So I found that very unique and very interesting about what you're offering.
Yeah, because I did make some big promises beforehand about what the mentorship entails, about all of the different levels of support, the calls, the one-to-one calls, and it sounded really appealing, and I think for many people they would question, actually, is this for real? Do you actually get all of this? Has it lived up to your expectations? Did I overpromise or did I, over deliver? Just tell me how you feel about this.
So I honestly had no idea what to expect walking in. But so far, like you've met the non-expectations that I've had, and you've definitely surpassed them in what you're offering. Like all the modules that you've put together are very, very thorough and they're very, very well explained. And then the meetings that we have every 2 weeks with the group, it's very interesting to hear where everyone's at because everyone's at a different stage in their journey. And it's just interesting to see where people are ahead of me and know what's coming up. And also, like I'm not that far ahead, but it's just interesting to hear the people that are just starting. And some of them have even reached out for advice. And the fact that I'm able to help them with that, that's a nice thing as well. So there is definitely a community that's been established.
Yeah, sure. And in fact, I think someone reached out to you because I told them to. Because they were stuck, and I saw how well you progressed, and you were very, very snappy. You're like, just getting shit done. I think that's the best way to put it. And I got a glimpse of that because when we had that initial call and we were discussing the option of working together, you didn't waste any time. You jumped right on board. You didn't say, I'll come back to you next week. I've got to go sleep on it. And that was quite impressive. And I love that a lot. And I think that character trait of yours is playing out now as you build your business.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you didn't make the gender comment this time and say that I'm quick for a woman.
Did I say
Uh,
that before?
you said I was quick for a girl because usually
Oh,
the women are indecisive. They
yeah.
need to confer with their best friends, their cat, their dog, whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, well, that was a bit tongue in cheek, but unfortunately, the stereotypes exist for a reason.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, cool. So now, just in terms of where you're at in your business, you are at the nearing stages of selecting your product. Just talk to me a little bit about what it took for you to get where you are about to pull the trigger on your product, and how me and the program or the community, how we've assisted you to get where you are now. And do you think maybe you could have got to this level of confidence in selecting a product on your own?
My background is not in business or in numbers or anything like that. So the fact that you and the system that you have laid out makes it so easy to follow along. Like you basically tell me exactly what to do. There's even spreadsheets with little formulas, which I find lovely and amusing, and it's so helpful. So no, definitely I wouldn't have reached a place where I feel some confidence in being able to launch a product. Like maybe I would still, if I hadn't met you or if I hadn't come across you, I'd still have, been twiddling my thumbs, wondering what's going on, how do I do this, what do I do? I'd be looking through the back end stuff, but I would have no idea how to read the data, how to do my own spreadsheets or what to put in the spreadsheets. So it's definitely been a big help, the system that you've put together and that you've offered. It's very helpful. Like in 2 months, I've gone from knowing nothing to having some confidence in being confident and comfortable in what I'm going forwards for with the product to launch.
Yeah, sure. And I think because there are so many different ways of building your business, because I think you alluded to just getting a course where you go through the videos by yourself, and that would probably be called, DIY, where you build everything by yourself. And then I know, and these do exist, where people will build the business for you. You pay them for the service, and it's like a hands-off investment, and they will from A to Z find your product, your branding, everything, and then just present it to you on a plate. And that's called done for you. And that sounds very appealing on the surface, but
Yeah.
there are actually two people in our program right now who've been through that, and they found it very it wasn't as exciting as they thought it'd be, not only because the service provider didn't launch them a brand. It was like a whole suite of unconnected, unrelated products, and it's actually
Mm,
not doing really well. But they now have to manage their brand, and they know nothing. They literally
right.
know nothing. So they haven't acquired the skills. So what we offer is essentially we do it with you. So it's your business, it's your baby, and I'm of the view that no one can look after your own baby as you can for yourself. So
Yeah, yeah.
you're building it, you're developing the skills, but you have kind of someone double checking, triple checking each step along the way. And it gives you the confidence of, I'm building the skill set, I'm enjoying the journey, I'm going through all the challenges, I'm developing. And once you kind of get that support for your first product, it's off to the races. Now you can literally, it's like that advert I used to see growing up where give a man a fish and you can feed him for a day, or give him
Yeah.
or teach him how to fish and
Yeah.
for a lifetime. Would you say that's a fair characterization of what we offer?
Yeah, that's a good metaphor. I've definitely learned skills I didn't have before. And the fact that I'm going through this with you now, it means that, I can do it again, or I can pass these skills on to someone else. So yeah, I definitely like that my hands are very, very dirty and immersed in this whole process.
Yeah, sure. Cool. And just one more thing. And I remember when we were having our initial call and
Yeah.
you wanted to sign up and then you paused for a second and you were like, Jamal, why are you even doing this? Remember?
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and because it's true now, if someone is doing so well on Amazon, and I'm grateful to be doing really well, but it does raise the question, why would you even be offering so much of my time working with people? I know I gave you an answer on the call. Do you remember?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you did answer
What I
me.
said?
And to be honest, I still wonder this question because I'm like, if I was him, if I have all this bank rolling in, would I be spending so much time helping other people? Because I do see that you're spending a lot of time helping everyone. Like you're always on Slack, you're giving feedback, you're very prompt in how you get back to us. And we have these calls twice a week. And yeah, I don't know if I would do it. I'd be maybe doing something else. So I really, really appreciate that about you. And I feel very, very honored that, I've met you and that I've come across you.
Yeah, and I don't blame you for asking that, and it's a very good question. And there's a video I released called The Hero's Journey. I'm not sure if you had
Yeah, I did. I did see it. I wanted to ask you, did you actually read Joseph Campbell?
that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, as in I talk about it in the. I've got it somewhere here.
Yeah, I saw you had it as a prop.
As a prompt. Well, I read a lot. I've this is just one of my small libraries, but I've got a much bigger library downstairs. But I'm an avid reader.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Were you aware of this book before I talked about it in the video?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm aware of the hero archetype of these types of things. It's part of what I do. But I just found it interesting that with your background, you would also be aware of that literature.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I read a lot. I read a lot, and even when I'm working out, I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm always reading. And one thing that has really resonated with me was I was listening to a podcast many years ago, and it was the founder of LinkedIn being interviewed, and he talked about how he doesn't just read business books. He reads books on poetry, philosophy, art, and literature, because that's how you generate new ideas. New ideas are not formed out of thin air. They're formed when you create something, one concept in one field, and then you connect it to another concept in another field, maybe in poetry or science. And then boom, when you mesh them together, you have something else. All new inventions have come about that way. And that really
Yeah.
resonates. And that's why, like, I've got so many books on Stoic philosophy and sports and the art of golf. I don't even play golf. I've never played golf, but on the mind games or the mental kind of fortitude you need to do well in golf. So that really resonated with me, and I think that's why maybe I've gained some edges in business, because if you're always reading or you're delving into business books and marketing books, you will get really good, but you'll basically be thinking along the same lines as everyone else. But when you read
Mm.
very expansively, that's how you can kind of get ahead of the game and become what they call a thought leader, if you will.
Yeah, I find that interesting. Like I've read probably 100 million hero's journey books in my life, but none of them have told me that I can source something from China for $6 and sell it on Amazon for 40, right? So maybe I need to diversify what I'm reading a bit too.
No, because you're a teacher, and that's what we have in common, right?
Yeah.
I used to be a maths teacher, and in your intro, you were talking about how you want to escape the rat race. And even though teaching is, in terms of all of the jobs out there, is probably not the worst, but at the
Yeah.
same time, one thing that I found quite limiting was, like, I'll give an example. I started my teaching career in 2011, and then I took a break. Then, long story short, when I accepted a job at a British school in Qatar many years ago, and I was teaching there, and I went all out. When I do something, I went above and beyond. Every month I was buying a new teacher's book. In fact, if you just give me a second, I've got like I was buying I was buying books like this, Make It Stick, the science of successful learning. When I commit to something, I go
Yeah.
above it, and I became really, really good in
Hmm.
a short amount of time. And I was recognized as, a star teacher, and all these other teachers were coming to observe me. But the point I'm getting at is I'm not sharing that to blow my own horn. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
I'm saying that I was doing really well, and there were teachers who were very seasoned who were earning almost double my salary. And I was thinking, like they're earning more than me, even though I know based on my results and the effort I put in, I'm doing a better job. I'm doing a better job. They were quite jaded, and I was very enthusiastic, but they were earning what they were earning simply because of the number of years of experience, and
Hmm.
it had nothing to do with the results they were achieving in the classroom. And as you know, in the academic space, you don't get paid based on what you produce in the classroom. It's all about how many years of experience you have, what's your qualifications,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
for sure, for sure.
that kind of rubbed me up the wrong way. And I guess it's what made me kind of decide, okay, Jamal, you can't increase your income through teaching in a very
Hmm.
aggressive way. So you kind of have to take action and steer the ship of your life if you really want to make big moves.
Yeah, it's true what you said. You can do all this reading, you can learn all you can about education, but it's your income is solely based on, like you said, your years of experience and your education. There's no way to increase other than to just get older.
Yeah, and so it was a learning curve for me, and all negative experiences. If you kind of pause to reflect, there's always something that you can learn from that. And most people, when they do come across these painful moments, they become numb to it after a while, and then they just keep on plugging away in their life. And I was very fortunate to come across Amazon in my own life early on, back in 2015. But even then, like, all of the resources available today, quite frankly, don't exist. So my
Mm,
last question to you would be: there are a lot of resources out there, and some of the content out there is really good, but you kind of have to mix and match them. There isn't anything comprehensive. What would you say to someone who does want to build their own brand on Amazon? They do want to build their own side income, and they are aware of what's out there. And let's face it, what you pay to join the program, it wasn't cheap. It was a pretty penny, but you invested in it anyway. But what would you say to someone who is considering doing it themselves, earning their stripes the hard way, and based on your experience with me and the program so far?
it doesn't compare. Like if you're going at it yourself, that's definitely an option, but I guess there would be a lot more trial and error that you would have to go through. You probably waste a lot more money in the long run. So the fact that I have you there helping me along and I have your systems that you've established, that you've already gone through the trial and error process and you sort of passed those along, that has definitely helped me in my journey.
All right, wonderful. I really appreciate your thoughts, Rosie. It was great.
Sure,
It was
anytime.
it was great chatting with you, and I can't wait to see what you cook up in your brand.
I can't wait either.
All
Take
right.
care. Thanks.